Chapter 51-57. Sumu did not know how to reject, so she did not say much. After Zhao Ning left, a colleague beside her whispered, "Sumu, don't trust her completely. Zhao Ning knows how to conduct herself. Even Chief Wang was tamed by her. Her husband is in the middle management of Starlight Entertainment. This woman is very ambitious. You have to be careful. CEO Yi is rich and handsome." There was no need to say the rest. Everyone understood what she meant. Some women would get close to you with the goal of getting your husband. Zhao Ning was pregnant, so of course she could not do anything. The child would come back after birth. What if she was close enough to attack CEO Yi? That was really hard to say. Sumu was a little surprised. From her point of view, a woman like Zhao Ning had a perfect life. Did she still need to do this? Besides, Yi Xiaonan's temper was terrible. What were these women thinking? She nodded. "Thank you for reminding me." The colleague whispered, "Her husband is a mistress now. She spoils the mistress." Sumu, afterwards, she politely declined Zhao Ning's suggestion of sharing the same office. She did not want Chief Wang to arrange something else for her. She said it was good to sit outside. Sumu had her own plans. If she was outside, Zhao Ning would have some private matters to discuss with her. The colleague beside her laughed. "Sumu, when you become a broadcaster, you will have a private office. Besides, this Starlight Entertainment building belongs to your family. It seems like Zhao Ning is the owner." "My family?" Sumu laughed. "It belongs to CEO. If you round it up, then it belongs to your family." The colleague was quite loving. First of all, it was because of her identity. More importantly, it was because Sumu was very approachable. Moreover, there was Master Cheng's story. She also dressed appropriately and was not too ostentatious. Zhao Ning, on the other hand, was Chanel all day. She was not a real rich lady, so she had to dress up like a rich lady. That was why Zhao Ning looked like she had a good relationship with everyone, but in reality, the lower-level employees did not like her. Now, it seemed like she wanted to have a third Sumu. She had another in her stomach, so her ambition was not small. Sumu didn't believe it or not. After meeting Du Meili, she felt that there were always such women in the office. However, she wouldn't show it on her face if it didn't happen. After all, she was just a small employee. This building had nothing to do with her. She had signed a prenuptial agreement, but there was no need to tell others about it. After a busy morning, she was just about to go for lunch when Zhao Ning came out. Her slender and beautiful hand was placed on Sumu's shoulder. "How is it? Do you want to eat together, or do you have an appointment with CEO Yi?" "I'll eat it myself." Sumu smiled. Zhao Ning smiled and casually said, "Aren't you going to eat with CEO Yi? CEO Yi and you are newlyweds, and your relationship seems to be very good." At this time, Sumu's smile was already businesslike. "I like to keep a clear distinction between public and private affairs." Zhao Ning smiled. "That's true. Let's go together. I'll introduce you to Starlight's staff cafeteria. It's not bad." Sumu couldn't refuse, so she packed her things and went with them. The remaining people purposely walked slowly and whispered, "The strongest mistress is probably going to make a move again. Don't you think Sumu is too stupid? If it was me, I would just ignore her. Her intentions are too obvious." Another person smiled. "Who said it wasn't? Her methods are brilliant. She made Sumu happy. If CEO Yi gets hooked, I think she might even give up the child in her stomach." Chapter 51-58. Another colleague mocked. "Isn't that right? She has the face of an angel, but the heart of a devil. I hope Sumu is not that stupid." "I don't think she is stupid. Think about it. To be Mrs. Yi, she must be a tough character. Plus, CEO Yi looks like he is infatuated with her. Why don't we hurry to the canteen? Maybe there will be a good show to watch. This time, I am on Sumu's side. Of course I am on Sumu's side. She's the real Mrs. Yi. Zhao Ning is just a broadcaster. To put it nicely, she is a celebrity. To put it bluntly, she is just an actress." Another person laughed coldly. Everyone in the office went to the staff canteen. When they arrived, they saw Zhao Ning and Sumu sitting there together. They had already started eating. Just as they were about to go over, the canteen suddenly became quiet. At the entrance of the canteen, Yi Xiangnan came over with Secretary Li. "God, it's CEO Yi." Yi Xiangnan walked in elegantly. Su Mu pretended not to see him. Zhao Ning coughed. That is CEO Yi. Su Mu, you. Aren't you going to ask him to come over to eat? Su Mu almost could not eat anymore. This guy was so flirtatious. She said she would not go to his office, and he came here to catch her. She lowered her head and said softly, "No need. We can eat by ourselves." Zhao Ning still wanted to say something, but she saw Yi Xiangnan and Secretary Li walking over. She immediately put on a professional smile, but Secretary Li picked a table for Yi Xiangnan. Yi Xiangnan sat down. Zhao Ning was a little disappointed, but she still smiled politely. Yi Xiangnan acted like he did not see it. He did not even know who the small broadcaster under him was. Moreover, if they were talking about looks and temperament, he had a lot of good-looking women around him. Instead of talking about looks and temperament, it was better to be flirtatious. Zhao Ning was a little embarrassed. At this time, Secretary Li came over and smiled. "Moo Moo, CEO Yi is waiting for you. If you don't go over, he'll be angry." She was full of hints, and Su Mu couldn't pretend to be confused. She raised her chin and said, "I'm eating with my colleagues." She could see through Zhao Ning's thoughts. She wasn't happy. Although she didn't want to monopolize Yi Xiangnan, she didn't want to be used by others. Zhao Ning suggested, "This is a bit inconvenient. Su Mu, why don't we eat with CEO Yi? That way, it will be easier for you to talk." Secretary Li was a little surprised. "Isn't the woman in front of me that female anchor? I heard that she's pregnant, but right now, she's acting like a slut. Does she think that she can copy Lin Lu?" At that time, Lin Lu was a woman that only appeared when CEO Yi was angry and especially unrestrained. Now, CEO Yi was like a good man who went to work punctually every day. Who could see CEO Yi going out to fool around? Besides, Anchor Zhao was pregnant with the flesh and blood of the middle management of Starlight Entertainment. Even if she didn't think for herself, she had to think for her husband's future. Seducing someone else's husband in front of his wife. Was her brain damaged? Secretary Li understood. She looked at Su Mu, but Su Mu didn't have any expression. Secretary Li had interacted with her a lot, so she understood. Su Mu understood. Su Mu calmly said, "That's fine. Let's eat together." She looked at Yi Xiangnan, and CEO Yi seemed to be looking at her casually. Then, he waved his hand to let her go over. Zhao Ning was extremely excited. "Su Mu, let's go over." Su Mu calmly smiled. "All right." The colleagues were all stunned. One of them mumbled, "She's here. She's here. She brought the baby in her stomach to seduce, so..." Chapter 51-59. Yi Xiangnan was sitting there. When he saw Su Mu come over, he gestured for her to sit beside him. With so many people watching, Su Mu could not give him some face. After sitting down, Zhao Ning smiled appropriately. "CEO Yi, can I sit here?" Yi Xiangnan frowned. "If you don't want to sit, what are you doing here?" Zhao Ning was a little embarrassed, but she still had a smile on her face. She elegantly sat down, but after sitting down, she was stunned. Secretary Li came from the door with 2 wooden lunchboxes. "CEO Yi, Su Mu, you guys eat. I'll clean up." Su Mu quickly said, "You go eat. I'll clean up after you finish." They were very familiar with each other. The people around them could feel it too. This meant that Su Mu was very well received by CEO Yi. Otherwise, how could Secretary Li be so familiar with her and act so naturally? Yi Xiangnan said, "You go eat. Su Mu feels bad for you." These words were a little sour. Secretary Li wanted to laugh after hearing it. She coughed. "All right, I'll go eat. I'll have to trouble you with Su Mu." Su Mu watched her leave. Zhao Ning was a little envious. For her, having a secretary like Secretary Li who could be close to CEO Yi was very convenient. The other thing was that she was surprised that CEO Yi had already prepared lunch for Su Mu. She thought that their relationship wasn't that good, but it seemed like she was wrong. Also, the food was very fragrant. Once it was opened, it was filled with the fragrance of rice. The chicken soup was also fragrant. It must have been made by the servants in the house. Zhao Ning wanted to live like this. She also hired a part-time worker, but there were so many servants that she couldn't afford it. She was pregnant and needed nourishment. She couldn't help but want to drink it. Thus she said softly, "It smells very good." She didn't expect CEO Yi to follow up. Sumu has always been very thin. She'll become even thinner if she eats at a restaurant. As he spoke, he reached out and pinched Sumu's face. Really, if it was a normal woman being treated like this by CEO Yi, her mood would probably skyrocket. Sumu, on the other hand, only felt like he was fucking a dog. He was doing it on purpose for others to see, and she was now his employee, not his pet. The way he was treating her made Sumu very unhappy. So when she was unhappy, she slapped his hand away and said very honestly, "Don't touch me." Yi Xiaonan was not surprised at all. Sumu was not a girl who was easy to talk to. She would not give him face just because of his identity. The more she acted like this, the more interesting it was. They thought it was normal, but the others were stunned. CEO Yi pampers Sumu so much. Sumu is so willful. Who has ever seen CEO Yi pampering someone like this? No one at all. After Sumu finished patting him, she continued to drink her soup. Yi Xiaonan pinched her face again and said, "Sumu, you really have no conscience." Sumu wanted to slap his hand away again, but he caught her hand before she could. "All right, let's eat. Don't mess with me." Sumu glared at him. Yi Xiaonan smiled, and it was a very nice smile. Sumu couldn't say a word. She just stared at him. "Go home and look at me slowly. There are so many people here. Are you sure you want to keep staring at me like this?" Yi Xiaonan smiled and then said to Zhao Ning casually, "You are Sumu's colleague, right? Sorry about that. Please take care of our Moo in the future." Chapter 5160. After Yi Xiaonan finished speaking, the colleagues all laughed. Zhao Ning's trick doesn't work on CEO. That's right, from the beginning to the end, CEO Yi didn't even look at her. Another person said. Zhao Ning was very calm. "I will definitely do it. Oh yeah, CEO Yi, my name is Zhao Ning. I am a female host of a certain program. Sumu is learning from me." This was almost a cliché. Yi Xiaonan looked up with interest. Then, under Zhao Ning's expectant gaze, he said, "The pregnant female host that secretarially mentioned?" Zhao Ning's face couldn't hold it in anymore. After a while, she forced a smile. "Yes, CEO Yi." Yi Xiaonan nodded. "That's good. Wait until Sumu gets used to it. Then you can focus on taking care of the fetus." After he finished speaking, he started eating. He even rubbed Sumu's head. There was nothing else for Zhao Ning to do. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even ask Zhao Ning to drink any soup. It was sad. After they finished eating, Zhao Ning took the initiative to clean up. Sumu said there was no need. Zhao Ning's beautiful hands reached out. "Let me do it. I will wash it and send it to CEO Ye's office." Sumu still said there was no need. Yi Xiaonan smiled. "I want lunch with Sumu. You can just give it to Secretary Li." After he finished speaking, he dragged Sumu away. Zhao Ning's face was twitching. She put down a lunchbox and called a waiter. "Wash CEO Ye's lunchbox." Seriously, it was full of oil. She could only give it to Secretary Li, but Zhao Ning thought that she could get close to Secretary Li. Maybe she could get some reliable information. She was the same as the others. She didn't believe that the average-looking Sumu could gain CEO Ye's favor. In terms of looks, temperament, and talent, she was miles ahead of Sumu. Zhao Ning was a woman who spent her time in the Vanity Fair. She didn't have a strong sense of family, so she just wanted to climb up. Therefore, at this time, she did not hesitate at all. If she could get close to Yi Xiaonan, she could give up this child. He had to admit that women were truly terrifying. Yi Xiaonan had seen a lot of such women. When he arrived at the office, he directly told Secretary Li not to let anyone disturb him. Only then did he bring Sumu in. Sumu looked at him and said, "It's not good to let a colleague wash the dishes for you, right?" "Colleague?" He smiled. "Sumu, do you not have any feelings for her? Or do you really not have any feelings for me? She's stealing your husband right under your nose, and you don't have any feelings at all?" Sumu pushed his body away and sat on the sofa to play with her phone. "But you can't make it so embarrassing. Stay away from her. Don't let her get close to me or fire her. You choose one." He seemed to have thought of something. It seems that her husband is still in the middle management of the company. "Sumu, do you think if I fire her husband, it will wake her up?" You really are a bastard. Just ignore her. Why do you have to do this? Sumu didn't even raise her head. Boring. I'm serious. He walked in front of her and looked down at her. He said seriously, Sumu, I'm very unhappy. Do you think I want any woman? I also don't like being harassed by women. When your colleague starts to harass me, you are an accomplice. Sumu was speechless. His tone sounded a bit wrong. Therefore, she asked softly, then it's still my fault? Of course it's your fault, Mrs. Yi. His voice became deeper. So I want to make it up to you. Chapter 51-61. Memorize. Sumu looked at him with an obviously shocked expression. Was Yi Xiangnan acting coquettishly? She was a little shocked, and her voice was very soft. Are you kidding me, Yi Xiangnan? Don't you like to mess around with your subordinates? I was single at that time. Yi Xiangnan's desire to survive was strong. Sumu pursed her lips and didn't want to talk to him. No matter what, he was right. Yi Xiangnan obviously didn't want to let her go. He reached out and touched her face. Are you angry? Of course not. I won't be angry with you. Then she recalled something. I'm going to take a nap. You sleep on the sofa. Don't come in. It was also the first time that Sumu spoke to him so fiercely. However, after she finished speaking, Yi Xiangnan looked at her with a clear gaze, which made Sumu feel a little scared. She always felt that he had some other meaning. When she thought about it carefully, she didn't dare to think about it anymore. He got up and said, I'm going to take a nap. Yi Xiangnan's heart skipped a beat. He wanted to pull her back, but Sumu ran so fast that she really ran away. The door to the lounge was closed, and then there was the sound of a lock. She really did lock the door and not let him in. Yi Xiangnan smiled silently. He was not in a hurry. Moreover, as the CEO of Starlight Entertainment and the successor of the Yi family, he rarely had the habit of taking afternoon naps. With so many things to do, he still sat on the sofa and read the newspaper. The sun shone through the window and shone on him, making him look like a god. He quietly read the magazine, thought about the people in the lounge, and smiled. This was not bad. He had a wife that he was interested in, a son, and a happy life. Wasn't that what a successful man was? He wasn't that obsessed with beautiful women. He could get them with just a wave of his hand. He had hugged them before, but they weren't anything special. Sumu had an ordinary face, but her figure was very good. It was so good that only CEO Yi knew about it. He found it interesting. At least, he was quite satisfied with Sumu's appearance. Outside the door, Zhao Ning took the dishes that Fu Sheng had washed and knocked on the door. Inside, Yi Xiangnan thought it was Secretary Li, so he said, "Come in." Zhao Ning opened the door and smiled. CEO Yi, the lunchbox is ready. At a glance, she saw a luxurious office, covered with expensive carpets, everywhere decorated with taste, and that man sitting on a famous sofa, looking very noble and good-looking. CEO, you looked like a typical rich man's son. He was young and good-looking. His aura was 10 streets ahead of the other young men in the entertainment circle. Zhao Ning's heart started to beat faster. She longed for this man, longed especially. Although her husband was in the middle management of Starlight and had an annual income of 10 million, she was also a famous anchor, but compared to a CEO with 100 billion, she was really poor. Moreover, her husband was over 40 years old. In terms of appearance, he couldn't be compared to CEO Yi. Zhao Ning felt that she had met her true love. She didn't love CEO Yi because of his power, but because of him. He had everything that she longed for. She stared at him for a long time. Then she lowered her voice. CEO Yi, can I come in? Yi Xiangnan flipped the magazine in boredom, put on the coffee table. Walk softly, Sumu is sleeping. Zhao Ning's mouth twitched. There's a carpet here, and Sumu should be in the resting room, right? However, she didn't dare to refute CEO Ye's words, nor was she willing to refute him. She walked in carefully and put the things on the coffee table. She had overstepped her boundaries, so she should leave. Yi Xiangnan was already happy that he didn't blame her, but Zhao Ning was still not satisfied. She felt that the fact that he let her in was a tacit agreement. Chapter 51-62. She felt that the superior letting her in was a tacit agreement. Maybe CEO Yi liked to eat secretly. Moreover, Madam was sleeping. Wouldn't that be even more? She gathered her courage and leaned on the sofa. So before she could finish, the door to the lounge opened. Sumu walked out. Yi Xiangnan, the class teacher of Cymbidium Chinense, is calling. She then stared at Zhao Ning. She wasn't shocked, but she was surprised. Wasn't Zhao Ning pregnant? Or did she think that she could hide it from me and Yi Xiangnan while sitting on the sofa? Yi Xiangnan wasn't such an unscrupulous person. Was he? Even a pregnant woman? However, after the surprise, Sumu waved her phone and said, he said that Cymbidium Chinense has a low fever. He went to the school doctor and is resting there. He asked if we should pick him up now or let him take a nap there. Yi Xiangnan looked at his watch. Let's do it this way. I'll let the second secretary watch over him. If anything happens, we'll go pick him up together. I'll call my mom and tell her. Sumu felt that it was a good arrangement. She nodded and continued to discuss. The husband and wife continued to talk about their family matters, as if Zhao Ning did not exist. Zhao Ning felt uncomfortable. She stood up and put on her high heels. Sumu, don't misunderstand. I didn't misunderstand. Sumu smiled faintly. This is between you and CEO Yi. After that, she returned to the lounge and closed the door. The sound of the door being slammed was a little loud. She was obviously unhappy. Zhao Ning felt a little uneasy. However, she saw that Yi Xiangnan didn't chase her away. Instead, he called Wen Yuan and talked about Cymbidium Chinense. She felt that CEO Yi had been playing outside. Sumu couldn't care less and was too lazy to care. Although the atmosphere and situation were a bit off, Zhao Ning had finally found this opportunity, so she shamelessly stayed. When Yi Xiangnan hung up, he saw that Zhao Ning was still there. He frowned and said, "Why are you still here? Anchor Zhao, can't you see that my wife is unhappy?" Zhao Ning's heart skipped a beat. She didn't know what CEO Yi meant, so she said in a small voice, "CEO Yi, I don't have that much ambition. Really, I don't care about the title." Yi Xiangnan sat there in a dignified manner. He tilted his head to look at the woman and smiled. "Status? You are thinking too much, Miss Zhao. What did I say I was interested in you? Besides, I am a married man, and I am your superior. If I am not wrong, you seem to be very friendly to Sumu, the new colleague. Is your goal to seduce her husband? He was merciless. This woman was too annoying. He was merciless. This woman was too annoying. Wasn't she pregnant? Why didn't she have any sense of propriety? She didn't care about the seed in her belly, but he cared about his son. As a parent, Yi-sun was sick, so it was only natural that the parents would be troubled. Yet, this woman was still trying to seduce her husband. Even if she wanted to behave properly, this wasn't the way to do it. Yi Xiangnan immediately made a decision. You resign, or your husband resign. You choose one. Zhao Ning was stunned. She lost her voice and said, Sumu wanted me to take care of her. Do you think such a big company like Stars Entertainment only needs you? Yi Xiangnan stood up and pressed the internal line. Secretary Li, come over. Chapter 5163. Secretary Li was confused. Wasn't it supposed to be just the two of them? Why did she come? As soon as he came in, he understood what was going on. Zhao Ning was an idiot. Or was she so confident in her own charm that she was bursting with confidence? Sumu was still inside, and she was openly seducing CEO Yi. Secretary Li sympathized with her husband for a minute. Sympathizing was sympathizing, but something still needed to be said. Yi Xiangnan put down the things in his hands and said calmly, Tell Director Wang that Zhao Ning is not needed. Let her go to where she came from. Find another professional anchor to take Sumu. Tell them it was my idea. Secretary Li felt good hearing this and nodded. Yes, CEO Yi. Zhao Ning wanted to say something, but was pulled out by Secretary Li. Once the door was closed, Secretary Li went straight to the point. Anchor Zhao, your husband is still in Starlight, right? If you are smart, you should keep this matter to yourself for your husband's future or reputation. Her tone was a bit heavy. Zhao Ning was a bit unsatisfied. I didn't do anything, Secretary Li. I just sent a lunchbox. Actually, this matter shouldn't be our secretary's concern. But Anchor Zhao, you underestimated CEO Ye's importance to Mrs. Yi. If you didn't like her, Would he keep her by his side? If CEO Yi really wanted to play, wouldn't this be very inconvenient? Keeping her by his side means he doesn't want to develop his relationship with others. At the same time, he can monitor his wife. In this couple, the one who cares more about each other is CEO Yi. Why can't you see it? Sumu didn't care at all. This marriage was arranged by CEO Yi. CEO Yi insisted on getting married and used all kinds of methods. CEO Yi is in high spirits. So, is it appropriate for you to do this? In the end, you didn't do a good job. If you make Mrs. Yi unhappy, then CEO Yi will be unhappy. After Secretary Li's analysis, Zhao Ning didn't understand. Then, CEO Yi didn't reject it in the beginning. Did CEO Yi accept it? Secretary Li asked. Zhao Ning didn't say anything. Secretary Li said, CEO Yi just wanted to see Mrs. Yi get jealous. It's just a little trick between husband and wife. Miss Zhao, you're taking it too seriously. CEO Yi has seen a lot of beautiful women. What you're doing is too much. She's pregnant. Zhao Ning did not want to leave the station. She felt that she was the pillar of the station. She had enjoyed the limelight here. If she left and got pregnant, when she returned, there would be no ripples. Secretary Li advised, go and beg Sumu. Listen to what she has to say at the nightclub, but if you go too far, I don't think she will agree easily. Zhao Ning thanked Secretary Li and returned to the station. Director Wang had already received the news. Naturally, he pulled her into his office and scolded her. Are you out of your mind? Zhao Ning, you're such a dignified person. CEO Yi is Su Mu's husband. How can you work in the same department in the future? Also, how many rich men divorce because of a woman? That Lin Lu from the headquarters is highly educated. She can drink and dance. She's very open and flirtatious. Didn't CEO Yi warm his bed a few times? He even gave her a chance. I heard that it was because Su Mu was unhappy with CEO Yi. Now Lin Lu is finished. Who in Starlight doesn't know that as long as CEO Yi has an affair, Mrs. Yi will divorce and sell shoes? Didn't you hear about her battle record? She didn't go to class these past 2 days. Her pursuers spent tens of billions to please her. Look, the opposite building, as long as Sumu nods, it will be hers. Do you? Think about other people's strengths. Don't think that you're prettier than her or flirtatious. Who knows? Maybe she's even more flirtatious than you in private. All men like her. Chapter 5164. Zhao Ning was covered in blood from Chief Wang's lecture. She still could not digest it after a long time. She still wanted to say something, but Chief Wang did not want to talk to her anymore. He said calmly, that's it. I have said everything I need to say. Little Zhao, think about it. If you and your wife are fired, wouldn't it affect your life a lot? Think about it. I'll just say one sentence to you. You have no chance with CEO Yi. Zhao Ning still left and packed her things in a daze. When she left, her colleagues looked at her. They were shocked at how quickly she lost. What did she do to make Su Mu do this to her? After Zhao Ning left, Chief Wang walked out with an ugly expression. All of you, be more careful. You all saw what happened to Zhao Ning. Su Mu is CEO Ye's wife. We should use this advantage and try to get funding to do a few good programs. Zhao Ning's hands are too long. She wants to seduce her husband, but why would he be willing? Chief Wang laughed coldly. Now that everyone has seen it, be more alert. Director Wang laughed coldly. Now that everyone has seen it, be more alert. Don't think that just because you look good, that's what happened to Zhao Ning. Also, don't spread rumors about this. It won't be good for Su Mu's reputation. She came to us, so we need to love her, care for her, and let her feel the warmth of a big family. Don't let her think that you're a hypocrite and that you're trying to seduce CEO Yi. If that's the case, Su Mu won't be happy, and CEO Yi won't have a good impression of us. Do you guys still want your year-end bonus? Do you all still want a good life? The people below all responded. Zhao Ning is too naive. She thinks she can seduce him. She doesn't know what kind of person CEO Yi is. Is he really someone she can reach? Everyone chimed in. Chief Wang was very satisfied. He ordered a few people. Come and clean up Zhao Ning's things. There will be a new anchor in a while. This is someone sent by the higher-ups. Treat her well. Su Mu will be with you all for now. She will be more at ease this way. After arranging everything, Chief Wang returned to his office. On the other side, Yi Xiangnan sat alone for a while before going to the lounge. Sumu was probably worried about the Cymbidium Chinense, so she leaned against the bed with her phone in her hand. Yi Xiangnan sat next to her and reached out to touch her head. Are you jealous and unhappy, or are you worried about your son? Sumu glanced at him. What do you think? Both, right? Don't tell me you aren't unhappy. If you weren't, you wouldn't have gone back to the lounge alone. You would have gone back to the station with Zhao Ning. His expression was gentle, and he rarely spoke to her like this. There was even a hint of tenderness in his eyes. Sumu lowered her eyes and said faintly, "It's not like that. I just don't think I need to take responsibility for her actions. I won't say anything if you don't punish her, but I'll feel uncomfortable when I see her in the station in the future." Yi Xiangnan smiled. Why not? When you see her, you'll think of her seducing your husband. Sumu looked at him. Yi Xiangnan, can you not be so narcissistic? He chuckled and suddenly pulled her closer. Sumu, don't tell me that you don't have any feelings for me. If you say that you do, I won't believe you at all. If you don't have any feelings, you won't. Sumu's face turned red. Yi Xiangnan, can you? She struggled, but she couldn't break free. Looking up, his eyes were abnormally bright. Today is the 4th update. Chapter 5165. Sumu was speechless. She remembered, I'm going to work. But he grabbed her hand. Don't go this afternoon. Let Director Wang handle it. With you here, Director Wang won't dare to say anything. Sumu was stunned. What did you do? They talked for a long time. She seemed to have forgotten to ask about Zhao Ning's fate. She only remembered now. Yi Xiangnan played with his phone in his hand and smiled. Leave the station and leave Starlight Entertainment. What else do you think? Sumu looked at him. You could transfer her to another department. Yi Xiangnan did not answer her question directly. Instead, he smiled. Mrs. Yi, are you admitting that you are not feeling well? Sumu could not answer him. She did not want to talk to him at all. He was too hateful. Yi Xiangnan touched her hair. Okay, are you still angry? I didn't care about her. Regarding this matter, Sumu could not blame him. Yi Xiangnan did not give Zhao Ning any hints, but Zhao Ning insisted on getting involved. She was quite speechless. I will go to the station. There is no need to hide here for such a small matter. What will my colleagues think of me? She looked at him and gently pushed him to the side. It's almost time. Hey! Yi Xianan quickly grabbed her wrist with a hint of amusement. You're really stubborn. Sumu looked at him. Yi Xiangnan surrendered. Okay, go. Do you need me to accompany you? Sumu looked at him with a strange look. I am not your son. This is a small matter. Besides, it is not my fault. The person who seduced her is her, and the person who fired her is you. It has nothing to do with me. She was about to leave. Yi Xiangnan followed her out and opened the door for her. You really have a heart of stone. Then he said seriously, I know you are worried about Cymbidium Chinense. Why don't you wait for me in the lobby at 4 o'clock? We will get off work early to pick up Cymbidium Chinense. Don't worry, the second secretary is there. Sumu nodded. When she went to the station, the atmosphere was a bit different. After she sat down, her colleague whispered, Zhao Ning packed her stuff. Although Director Wang did not allow it. How could a woman not gossip? After that, he looked at Sumu, hoping to get some reliable insider information. Sumu smiled faintly. Maybe he wants to go home and take care of the fetus. She didn't say anything, but her attitude was a little cold. Everyone present was smart, so how could they not see it? Everyone stopped talking and quietly did their own things. It wasn't that they were trying to push Sumu away. Sumu was CEO Ye's wife. Who would dare push her away? It was just that they were shocked. Zhao Ning was a pillar of the station, yet CEO Yi could change her just like that. It could be seen how important Sumu was in CEO Ye's heart. Sumu was doing her own things. It could be said that she was learning. Suddenly, she remembered something. When she was at the Sun News Agency, she got along well with Little One. Now that her relationship with Yi Xiangnan was like this, she wanted Little One to come over. Of course, she could inform Director Wang, but she didn't want to use her own identity to do things here. She was going to inform Yi Xiangnan. At 4 o'clock, Sumu asked for leave from the supervisor. She said that she was going to pick up her child early. The supervisor had already heard from the director about today's situation. The atmosphere in the station was very tense. Now that Sumu had asked for leave, it must be because she was with CEO Yi. The supervisor was very kind and even cared about her child. It seemed like the child was not CEO Ye's, but a normal subordinate's. Chapter 5166. It had to be said that the supervisor was much more troublesome than Zhao Ning. It was not a good thing for a woman to be too beautiful. Sometimes she would be overconfident. Sumu thanked her and packed her things. She carried her bag and left work. When she left, a colleague whispered, "Actually, Sumu is quite low-key. Which rich woman would be willing to work for herself? Moreover, they would start from the bottom. Some people don't care if they can do well or not. They just want to be an official." The colleague laughed. "That's right. Sumu is quite easy to get along with. It's not wrong to listen to the director. If we have a good relationship, we can do a few good programs or projects here. The future will naturally be bright. CEO, you will definitely give good resources to his wife." Of course, Sumu did not know what was going on in the office. She went to the lobby to wait for Yi Xiangnan. However, Yi Xiangnan had a short meeting. He used his phone to send her a WeChat message, asking her to wait for a while. She replied. When she put away her phone, she was a little confused. She did not know if her relationship with Yi Xiangnan was good. She only knew that they interacted a lot. It seemed like they were a couple now. He felt like they were newlyweds. She felt like they were an old couple. She really could not accept the fact that she and Yi Xiangnan were in love. As she did not want to think about it, she contacted Yi Xiangnan's second secretary. The second secretary assured her that the fever of Cymbidium chinense had gone down. She was very energetic now. It would be fine to wait a little longer. Sumu felt a little guilty. She had not seen Cymbidium chinense for a few days. Although Yi Xiangnan did not let her see it, she had to admit that she was afraid of him. She was indeed forced to do things that she did not want to do. However, she would be lying to herself if she said that she was not addicted to it. Sumu bit her lips. She did not dare to think about anything else. Just as she was thinking about it, a familiar figure stood in front of her, Sumu. Sumu looked up. Shen Wenxuan. He was holding a briefcase in his hand and seemed to have returned from work. When he saw Sumu sitting there, he called out to her. Their relationship now was quite delicate. They were exes, and they were about to become family. Sumu also felt very uncomfortable. She tucked her hair behind her ear to ease the discomfort and said softly, "How's Yi Hui recently?" "Pretty good. The wedding is just around the corner, and she's been talking about you. It's just that her older brother won't let her go. So Yi Hui can't see you," Shen Wenxuan said with a smile. Sumu felt sad, not for herself, but for Yi Hui. Actually, Yi Hui was a very, very beautiful girl. She was innocent and well-raised, but she didn't have any bad habits. She was the kind of girl that everyone loved. Sumu whispered, "I'll visit her when I'm free. I'm waiting for CEO Yi. I'll pick up Cymbidium chinense later." Shen Wenxuan smiled and said, "Actually, you don't have to keep emphasizing CEO Yi. I heard that you're going to have a wedding after our wedding. Sumu, congratulations." He reached out his hand. Sumu was actually a little hesitant. After all, there were so many people watching. Shen Wenxuan smiled faintly and said, "It's because there are so many people watching that we have to be more open, right? We can't live with the rumors of others. Don't you think so?" Sumu also smiled. She reached out to him and shook his hand gently. With this grip, everything that had happened in the past was considered to be over. Chapter 5167. 1 second to remember. Unfortunately, this scene was seen by CEO Yi, who came out of the elevator. The receptionist's description was that his face suddenly darkened, as if a jar of vinegar had been poured on his face. But the next second, he smiled like a spring breeze. CEO Yi's smile was fake. He was obviously jealous. But this was what you thought. CEO Yi didn't think so. He even thought that he was very magnanimous. CEO Yi walked over gracefully and naturally put his arm around his wife's waist. Lawyer Shen Wenxuan happened to be facing this direction. He knew that Yi Xiangnan came with jealousy. Don't ask how he knew. If you asked, it was a man's intuition. The two men shook hands. The meaning in their eyes was unclear. Sumu didn't know. Her idea was very simple. Shen Wenxuan and Yi Hui had a child and were going to get married. Naturally, she wouldn't miss the past anymore. Otherwise, it would be very strange. Besides, she and Yi Xiangnan were together. Aren't they going to pick up Cymbidium Chinense? She pulled Yi Xiangnan's sleeve. Then, under the gaze of many people, CEO Yi directly held his wife's hand. Let's go now. He talked with Shen Wenxuan about a few business matters. There was no other communication, so he left directly. In the car, Su Mu finally came to her senses. She said while fastening her seatbelt, "You don't have to be so serious every time you see Shen Wenxuan. I don't care. You have to think about Yi Hui's face." Yi Xiangnan started the car and smiled. "You're acting like Mrs. Yi now. You've learned to teach people a lesson, haven't you?" Sumu stared at him and didn't speak for a long time. Yi Xiangnan smiled again. "Aren't you happy to see your first love?" "I'm very happy. I'll be even happier if you don't show up," Sumu retorted. She had thought that he would get angry, but Yi Xiangnan didn't speak for a long time. Sumu couldn't help but turn her head to look at him. There was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, and he seemed to be very happy. Sumu wondered if he was reading early. His mood was too unstable. Yi Xiangnan drove to the red light in front of them. He grabbed her hand and smiled. "You're getting more and more impudent now. Weren't you afraid of me before? Now you're fighting with me?" Su Mu wanted to retract her hand, but he didn't let her. He continued to play with it slowly, and before the light turned green, he even turned his head to smile at her. Su Mu was so angry that she ignored him until the car arrived at the nursery. She parked the car and got off together. Cymbidium Chinense was still in the infirmary. He had already woken up. The secretary helped him put on his clothes and play games with him. When the door was opened, Cymbidium Chinense's eyes lit up when he saw Sumu. He rushed to her at once. "Mom." Sumu also felt strange in her heart. Holding the little guy in her arms, she thought that it seemed that she hadn't seen Cymbidium Chinense for a long time and hadn't hugged this warm little body for a long time. Yi Xiangnan leaned on the side. "You forget Dad after seeing Mom." Cymbidium Chinense was in his mother's arms, and his little face was a little red. Yi Xiangnan touched his little head and didn't argue with him. The secretary smiled. Then CEO Yi. "Mrs. Yi, I'll go back first." Su Mu was a little embarrassed to be called Mrs. Yi, but she didn't refute. She said softly, "I'll take you home on the way. It's not very convenient to take a taxi here." The secretary didn't dare to let CEO Yi take her home, so she hurriedly refused. However, Yi Xiangnan was quite obedient. "Well, I'll take you home on the way." Chapter 5168. The second secretary's mouth twitched. This favor came so fast that she had no time to digest it. In fact, Yi Xiaonan's idea was quite simple. This favor was given by Su Mu. In the future, Su Mu's words would naturally carry weight in front of the group of people below. He was very familiar with the way of the workplace. Su Mu was much simpler than him. The second secretary had helped to take care of Cymbidium Chinense for a long time, so it was natural for her to send it back. So the four of them got in the car. Su Mu naturally sat in the back seat because she wanted to hold Cymbidium Chinense. The second secretary dared not sit in the back seat because she would regard CEO Yi as the driver. So she thought it was more suitable to sit in the front seat. But Yi Xiangnan said lightly, "Secretary Wang, you sit in the back seat and help Su Mu take care of Cymbidium Chinense." Although the second secretary was not as good as Secretary Li, she was also a smart person. She immediately understood CEO Yi's meaning. CEO Yi did not want her to sit in the front seat. This seat was reserved for Mrs. Yi. Many men actually did not like other women sitting here. Su Mu held Cymbidium Chinense and talked to Cymbidium Chinense. Secretary Wang also played with the little guy. If only CEO Yi was there, she would not dare, but Su Mu was very approachable, so she was a lot more relaxed. Cymbidium Chinense was very polite. It called her Aunt Wang and told her parents in a childish voice that Aunt Wang bought candy for it. The candy was very delicious. Secretary Wang laughed. What a sweet little mouth. Yi Xiaonan drove for an hour to send Secretary Wang home. When she got off the car, Secretary Wang felt a little unreal. She was just a second secretary and rarely interacted with CEO Yi. In her impression, CEO Yi was a very cold man. Few women in the company could enjoy CEO Yi's gentleness. Even the previous Lin Lu, CEO Yi was not polite to her. A man's attitude towards a woman who threw herself into his arms would not be good. But in the car just now, she felt that CEO Yi was actually quite gentle towards Sumu. At red lights, he would look at the rearview mirror. If he wasn't looking at the Cymbidium Chinese, he was looking at Sumu with a passionate gaze. Secretary Wang thought to himself that they were newlyweds after all. They were indeed different. Later, Sumu said that Cymbidium Chinese was a little cold. She said it softly. After CEO Yi raised the temperature, he asked gently if it was okay. His voice was hoarse and pleasant to hear. Moreover, Sumu could make CEO Yi drive for an hour to send her back with just one word. How big a face did she have? How much did CEO Yi care about her? The next day, Secretary Wang told this important discovery to her immediate superior, Secretary Li. Secretary Li also deliberately publicized it, so that the whole company knew about it. Even Sumu's colleagues in the station knew about it. All of a sudden, everyone knew that CEO Yi loved Madam, but Madam didn't necessarily care about CEO Yi. At this time, Yi Xiangnan sent Secretary Wang home. Before starting the car, he looked at Sumu. Bring Cymbidium Chinese to our place to stay for the time being. Just hire 2 part-time workers. There's no need to let the servants live at home. Sumu didn't listen carefully and asked casually why. Yi Xiangnan stared at her and smiled. Because it's inconvenient. Probably because it had been a long time, Sumu actually understood it instantly. She lowered her eyes and didn't speak anymore. When Yi Xiangnan wanted to say something, Cymbidium Chinese asked in a childish voice, "Daddy, why is it inconvenient?" So the 2 adults looked at each other. The atmosphere was still a little subtle. In the end, Yi Xiangnan smiled. "You can ask your mother." Sumu was furious. It was clearly his problem. Chapter 51-69. Sumu couldn't bear to listen to such words. Don't teach the child bad things. Being held in Sumu's arms, Cymbidium Chinese always felt that there was something different between her father and mother. As for what the difference was, she couldn't tell. Therefore, she looked at her mother with sparkling eyes and asked, "Will I be with Cymbidium Chinese in the future and never leave Cymbidium Chinese again?" After asking, the little guy's nose turned sour. He plunged into his mother's arms and refused to come out. Sumu lowered her head and looked at the little guy in surprise. After comforting it for a while, the little guy seemed to be very angry. Yi Xiangnan smiled and said, "He may be angry with you." Sumu looked surprised and lowered her head. "Cymbidium Chinese, is he angry with me?" Cymbidium Chinese didn't make a sound. That meant that he was angry. Sumu coaxed him for a long time, but it didn't work. Yi Xiangnan gloated and said, "Look, he's ignoring you. You're too cruel." Sumu was quite dissatisfied with him. "Yi Xiangnan, don't say a few words. Once you talk, he becomes even more excited." Yi Xiangnan smiled and said, "I won't talk anymore. You can coax him to sleep at night, and you'll know how clingy he is." Sumu didn't say anything else. She looked at the little guy in her arms. Her heart was soft, reluctant, distressed, and guilty. It was her fault, or in other words, her uselessness that made Cymbidium Chinese so sad. She put her face on Cymbidium Chinese's little face and said very gently and sincerely, "I won't leave in the future, okay?" "Really?" Cymbidium Chinese's little face was full of disbelief. Sumu nodded and said, "I won't leave. I'll take Cymbidium Chinese with me wherever I go." Cymbidium Chinese was very happy. He hugged his mother tightly with his 2 little arms. Yi Xiangnan, who was in the front row, suddenly felt a little jealous. He was jealous that Cymbidium Chinese could get Sumu's gentleness. He coughed lightly and said, "How old are you? You're going to get married and have children soon. Why are you still so clingy with your mother?" Cymbidium Chinese was also familiar with him and talked back. "Sun is only 5 years old." "Yes. Have you found all the girls you like at the nursery?" Yi Xiangnan snorted softly. "If there is, then you can't hug other girls to show your loyalty to her." Yi Sun was stunned. After a long time, he asked softly, "Can't I even hug my mother?" Yi Xiangnan snorted. "What do you think?" Cymbidium Chinense cautiously said, "Mom, little May won't be happy if I hug you." Su Mu was surprised and amused. What was her son talking about? Little May? Was he serious? Cymbidium Chinense was indeed serious. She eagerly looked at Su Mu. "Mom, Xiao Mei is very beautiful." Hence, Su Mu called out to Yi Xiangnan softly. CEO Yi smiled and said, "Aren't you good at educating your son? You're educating him now." Su Mu said in a low voice, "I'm talking to you seriously." Yi Xiangnan smiled as he drove. "Su Mu, you probably don't understand men very well. For men, no. For children, it's very easy to like someone. It's nothing serious. You don't have to worry like an old hen." Old hen? Su Mu didn't want to talk to him. She sat in the back seat and didn't make a sound. Even if Cymbidium Chinense coaxed her, she wouldn't make a sound. When they arrived at the villa, CEO Yi got out of the car and took the little Cymbidium Chinense in his arms. He took a look at his wife and smiled. "Are you still angry?" "I dare not." Su Mu put on her coat and followed him. Yi Xiangnan looked back at her. "Button up your coat." Chapter 5170. Yi Xiangnan looked back at her and said, "Button up your coat." She tensed up silently and looked at Yi Xiangnan, who was glaring at her. She was quite speechless. It was just a few steps. After entering, Yi Xiangnan turned on the air conditioner in the house. When it was warm, he allowed them to take off their coats. He accompanied Cymbidium Chinense and asked Su Mu to cook, saying that there was food in the fridge. Su Mu went to the kitchen and carefully made a chicken soup. She also fried 2 delicious side dishes and a cucumber with garlic sauce, which was also Cymbidium Chinense's favorite. After it was done, she brought it to the dining table. Yi Xiangnan sat down with Cymbidium Chinense and said, "Intentionally or unintentionally, I will also learn to cook in the future." Su Mu sat opposite him and was a little confused about what he meant. Yi Xiangnan coughed lightly and said, "In the future, except for the hourly cleaning workers, there will be no fixed servants. Cymbidium Chinense will also live with us. Of course, if you feel that it is particularly hard, we can still use servants." Su Mu thought that he had something important to announce. After all, it was still this matter. She slowly ate a mouthful of rice and said, "If you have no problem, I have no problem. Now, work doesn't seem to be too busy, and the time can also be coordinated." This problem seemed to be settled just like that. Yi Xiangnan gave her a small bowl of soup and said, "Nourish yourself. You are so thin that you're like pork ribs." Su Mu had just slightly changed her opinion of him. At this moment, she felt that he was still the same, so she snorted and took it. Cymbidium Chinense looked at this and looked at that. He always felt that there was something different between his father and mother. As for what was different, he couldn't tell. However, the way his father treated his mother was the same as how he treated Xiao Mei. He obviously liked her very much, but he was too stupid to say it, or he just bullied her. It would be fun to bully him. Cymbidium Chinense was very happy. Once it was happy, it no longer felt weak from its illness. After dinner, it pestered its mother, asking for a hug, a story, and a bath for the baby. There were no servants at home, and the dishes were washed by the Honorable CEO Yi. Looking at the greasy dishes, he really wanted to change his decision, but it was only the first day, and he was a person who cared about his face, so he had to endure it no matter what. This was young Master Ye's first time doing this kind of housework. He wasn't so stupid that he couldn't do it, but he wasn't very skilled either. After washing the dishes, his body was full of water, so he went upstairs to take a shower and changed into a set of home clothes. He lay on the sofa in the bedroom and read a book for a while. After a long time, Su Mu still hadn't come back, so Yi Xiangnan went to the children's room. Oh my God, Su Mu slept in the children's room. Was she not going to come back? Yi Xiangnan was speechless. He sat on the bed and touched his son's face, then pinched Su Mu's nose. Su Mu woke up and looked at him. "I'll wait for you in the bedroom. Try not to come back." He threatened in a low voice and left. He was probably afraid that he would wake up his son and let him see such a scene. After he left, Su Mu closed her eyes. She was still thinking about Manri. What was going on? Yi Xianin really couldn't be missing even a day. Cymbidium Chinense just came back. She and Cymbidium Chinense hadn't seen each other for a long time. Besides, she wasn't very good looking. He also said that she was full of ribs. She really didn't know why he was in such a mood. But Sumu didn't dare not to go back. Yi Xiangnan was really crazy when he was crazy. She was still a little afraid of him. Chapter 51-71. Memorize. She carefully got up and took the temperature of the Cymbidium Chinense again. Finally, after confirming that there was no problem, she returned to the master bedroom. As soon as the door opened, Su Mu saw Yi Xiangnan leaning against the sofa, playing with his phone lazily. When he saw her coming over, he patted the seat beside him and gestured for her to come over. Before Su Mu, who was sitting beside him, could start talking, he said, Cymbidium Chinense already has a girl he likes. As a parent, you should let go early. Don't raise your child to be a mommy's boy. Xiaomei won't like it. Su Mu was speechless. Wasn't Yi Xiangnan only 5 years old? CEO Yi smiled again. I don't feel good. Don't you still have me? I can't take it. Su Mu sat beside him, her head lowered as if she was thinking about something. When Yi Xiangnan came over, she blocked him. He reached out and stroked her hair. His voice was slightly hoarse. What's wrong? You don't want to because the Cymbidium Chinense is here? Su Mu glanced at him. What are you thinking about? I have something to tell you. Say it. Yi Xiangnan put his hands behind his head and leaned against the back of the sofa. Su Mu bit her lower lip and thought for a moment before saying softly, I want to bring that Xiao one from the Sun News Agency, whom you've met before, to the station to be my assistant. As she spoke, Yi Xiangnan looked at her. Su Mu looked at him. Do you agree or not? He smiled and stretched out a hand, caressing her hair from time to time. His voice was lazy. Don't you want an assistant? I'll arrange one for you. Secretary Wang is not bad, right? I'll let her go to your place. She will be absolutely loyal and will not betray you. Don't. She's doing well in your place. Won't she be demoted a lot if she follows me? Su Mu couldn't bear it. Yi Xiangnan smiled again. No problem. I thought you were going to poach reporter Lu. What if? Su Mu turned sideways and asked, probably because the topic had been triggered. Yi Xiangnan smiled. It's not impossible, but Mrs. Yi has to pay a little price. After all, reporter Lu is a dangerous person. Do you think Cheng Zheng will let her go? Men always understood other men. Cheng Zheng, this uncouth man, never hid anything in his eyes. It was obvious that he had a strong interest in Sister Hong. Even though he had gotten her before, she didn't buy it. He still wanted to get her again. Since she wasn't willing, he could only force her. Yi Xianan understood these tricks very well, which was why he said Lu Hong was a dangerous person. Actually, even if he was Lu Hong's boss, he could not protect her all the time. After all, this was a private matter. Hearing that, Su Mu was a little worried. Do you want to talk to Cheng Zheng? How dare you? Yi Xiangnan pulled her over and pinched her chin. You can't wait to avoid a man like Cheng Zheng, and you still want to go to him? Do you know what business he runs? Su Mu was stunned. Yi Xiangnan said calmly, this man was very lucky to have met the 7th master of Yin and saved him. The 7th master of Yin was getting old and didn't have any children, so Cheng Zheng treated him as half a son. Now, all the businesses are managed by Cheng Zheng. Do you know what kind of business he does now? 7th master Yin. That was a well-known figure. It was impossible for Su Mu not to know about him. She was stunned for a moment because she didn't expect Cheng Zheng to take over the 7th master Yan's position. No wonder she couldn't move for a moment. Chapter 51-72. It's not that she can't move, it's just that her roots are intertwined. Once she moves, her whole body will be affected. I can only say that money is a good thing. The money in Master Cheng's hands has opened up a lot of joints. Yi Xiangnan touched her face. I heard that your sister is with Cheng Zheng now. It seems that she has also contracted a bad disease. Su Mu was stunned for a moment. The last time she saw Su Jian, she felt that her complexion was not very good. Even with makeup, she still looked a little pale and emaciated. She thought that she was on a diet. How could she know that she had contracted a bad disease? She asked in a low voice, "How did you know?" Yi Xiangnan smiled. "I am in the media industry. I naturally have this kind of news." Su Mu was a little absent-minded. Yi Xiangnan rubbed her hair. "Are you worried about her?" She said no, only that it was a pity. Even if Su Jian was not a good girl, she was still related to her by blood. If she was infected with that bad disease, she would probably be ruined. She was silent for a long time. Okay, go to sleep. Why am I talking so much with you? Don't you just want a little assistant?" He pulled her up. "Don't think about these things. Cheng Zheng is Cheng Zheng. You are you. Su Jian is also willing to follow Cheng Zheng. In the future, when Cheng Zheng falls, she can't run away." Sumu looked at him. "Cheng Zheng will fall. Of course, do you think they are useless?" Yi Xiangnan put his hands behind his head and said softly, "They have lived too happily for too long. They really think that this world is really under their control and they could do whatever they want." When he spoke, although his voice was very soft, there was a trace of ruthlessness in it. Even Su Mu was shocked when she heard it. She always felt that there was something wrong with Yi Xiangnan. He tilted his head and looked at her. "Why are you suddenly looking at me like this? Are you secretly in love with me?" "Boring." Su Mu snorted softly, unwilling to pay attention to him. Yi Xiangnan also smiled and didn't say anything else. He probably had something on his mind. After she fell asleep, he got up and went to the balcony to smoke 2 cigarettes. He then went to check on the Cymbidium chinense before returning to the bedroom. He lay down and thought about a few things before going to sleep. Early in the morning, when Yi Xiangnan opened his eyes, Su Mu was no longer by his side. His fingers gently touched the pillow beside him. It was still a little warm. He took the pillow in his arms and deeply sniffed it. It was filled with the fragrance of her hair. Smelling this scent, he actually felt somewhat satisfied. He lay there for a while, then got up, went to the cloakroom to change into a set of clothes, and went downstairs. On the stairs, he saw that the Cymbidium chinense was already neatly dressed and sitting on the sofa, holding a children's book in his hand. Su Mu was in the kitchen making breakfast. As Yi Xiangnan went downstairs, there was a trace of smile on the corner of his mouth. He found that he quite liked this kind of atmosphere. There were no servants around, and it seemed more comfortable just the 3 of them. He touched the little guy's head. "Are you better?" The Cymbidium chinense was very happy to say that he was already better. Then he hugged Yi Xiangnan's arm and asked his father to tell him a story. Yi Xiangnan endured and told him 2 stories, and then he left his son to find a wife. He hugged her slender waist from behind. "What did you make for breakfast?" Su Mu wanted to break away from him, but he didn't let her. "I like to eat Western food, and..." Her face was a little hot. She was not used to such closeness. The Cymbidium chinense will see it. Shouldn't some hugs between husband and wife make the child feel safer? He leaned close to her and murmured. Chapter 5173. 1 second to remember. Su Mu was speechless. She said in a low voice, "Yi Xiangnan." "Yes, I'm here." He said softly, "What's wrong? Are you shy?" "What I want to say is, don't disturb me making breakfast. Cymbidium chinense is going to be late," she deliberately said with a straight face. However, Yi Xiangnan was not angry. Instead, he nodded as if she was right. "That's true. Mrs. Yi, Cymbidium chinense, and I will be waiting for your breakfast." He left gracefully. Su Mu was a little speechless. Why did she and Yi Xiangnan look like a loving couple now? She bit her lip and thought for a while. Then she continued to make breakfast. During breakfast, the atmosphere was also very good. It was so good that Su Mu was not used to it. It was as if they had been married many years ago and had raised a child together for several years. It felt like they had a tacit understanding. She was not used to it, so she felt uncomfortable and awkward. After getting in the car and sending Cymbidium chinense to school, Yi Xiangnan opened the door of the front passenger seat. "Sit in the front." As he said that, he looked at her. Su Mu was still a little uncomfortable. She wanted to say that she would sit in the back, but he insisted. "Get in the car. I have something to tell you." She nodded and then sat next to him. Yi Xiangnan drove the car. After a while, he said softly, "There's a family dinner at my parents' place tonight. Yi Hui and Shun Wen-Xuan will be there. They also invited us. Sumu, are you okay with it? She looked at him sideways. He smiled. It's about Yi Hui and Shun Wen-Xuan's wedding. The Shin family will also come. Sumu, I hope you will go. He used the word hope and did not use a forced tone like before. It was quite an improvement. Sumu was a little touched. She did not say anything. Yi Xiangnan continued. Our wedding is scheduled for Christmas a month later. What do you think? It happened to be a red light, so he grabbed her hand and played with it gently. Sumu tilted her head and looked at him. Yi Xiangnan, what are you thinking? What do you want? He stared at her and laughed after a while. Don't you know what I want? She looked down. What if I can't afford it? Yi Xiangnan smiled. Mrs. Yi, you can afford it. It's just a matter of whether you want to or not. He suddenly leaned closer and said, a little intimately, Are you afraid, eh? Sumu sat up straight, or even stiff. She bit her lip and said, I didn't. Yi Xiangnan smiled. Really? If not, why are you so stiff? No. Sumu was a little unrecognizable. Yi Xiangnan, I don't want to talk to you. Just when the green light turned green, he let her go with a good temper. He smiled while driving. Why do you look like Xiaomei from the Cymbidium Chinese class? I didn't bully you. She turned her head angrily. After a moment, Yi Xiaonan's voice was a little low. I hope I can introduce you to others in such a formal occasion. You are my wife. I don't want to be sneaky, unless you think it's a shameful thing to be Mrs. Yi. Sumu, you know what I mean? The past is the past. I don't care about it. You don't need to care about it. You don't need to care about others. You will be my wife in the future. No one can look down on you. Sumu kept silent for a long time and said with a nasal voice, It sounds very touching. He sighed. I can't hear the slightest touch in your tone. Mrs. Yi, you are really difficult to please. Chapter 5174. 1 second to remember. He sighed. I can't hear the slightest feeling in your tone. Mrs. Yi, you are really hard to please. I didn't ask you to please me. She said stiffly. You don't have to. Then, go to find another woman. He smiled. Are you willing to do that? Then you will quarrel with me again. Sumu, I have already figured out your little tricks. You just don't want to leave me. You do all this just to attract my attention and stimulate me, right? Sumu was flabbergasted. It took him a long time to find his voice. Yi Xiannan, aren't you a little too confident? Finally, I am happy. Mrs. Yi, didn't I say that you were hard to please? He said. So Sumu didn't say anything until the car stopped in front of Star's building. When she got off, she said in a low voice, Shall I wait for you in the hall after work? Go to my office. He smiled and held her hand. Wait in the hall. It's too distant. Sumu was going to get off, but she couldn't help saying in a low voice, In fact, Yi Xiangnan, you don't have to do this. We are just, aren't we husband and wife? He looked straight at her and asked in a low voice, We work together, raise children together, eat and sleep together. What's the difference between us and other couples? Tell me, Sumu, so I treat you better. What's wrong for us to be closer? Hearing these words, Sumu was speechless. After a while, she said with difficulty, I'm not ready yet. You don't need to prepare. I will do it. Yi Xiaonan's voice was hoarse and pleasant. If you don't know how to fall in love, I will teach you. Sumu looked at him eagerly. After a long time, she whispered, Yi Xiangnan, do you have a fever? He caught her hand at once, and there was a little annoyance in his eyes. Sumu didn't dare to provoke him anymore. She lowered her eyes and said, I'll find you after work. Only then did he let go of her, but he still looked unhappy. CEO, you had to take revenge when he was unhappy. He quickly got out of the car and grabbed her hand, wanting to show off. So there was such a scene in the hall of the first floor of Starlight. CEO, Yi held Mrs. Ye's hand forcibly. Mrs. Yi resisted in a low voice with a look of reluctance. Yi Xiangnan, others are watching. Did I embarrass you? He said sourly. Am I not handsome enough? Am I not respectable enough? He dragged her along and walked quite quickly. They were surrounded by people who had dropped their jaws. CEO, you dotes on your wife so much. Is this a one-sided love? It seems so. Mrs. Yi doesn't look very happy. Does she think President Yi is not good-looking enough? Master Chung is good-looking and generous. He is more generous than CEO Yi. He gave out 10 billion yuan, and Mrs. Yi had to sign the prenuptial agreement. It's so pitiful. If it were me, I would choose to be Mrs. Chung. Me too. That Cheng Zheng looks so strong. Could it be that CEO Yi can't compare to her? Just thinking about this possibility makes me want to die. All these gossips came into Yi Xiangnan's ears. CEO Yi was about to explode. In the elevator, he pinched Su Mu's chin and pushed her to the corner of the elevator. He trapped her with his tall body. Is Cheng Zheng in good health? Su Mu was very speechless. He didn't care about the staff of Starlight and came to vent his anger on her. Yi Xiangnan's voice was hoarse. Is there something between you and him? Chapter 5175. Updated quickly. Su Mu was speechless. She pushed him and said, Yi Xiangnan, you're crazy. If you want to know, ask Su Jiyan. As soon as she said that, his face looked much better. He pinched her chin and asked softly, is that a denial? She didn't want to talk to him. He was crazy. It's time for work. Su Mu's face was dark. She was unhappy. However, Yi Xiangnan chuckled. Actually, you can ask reporter Lu. Don't you think so? Su Mu was speechless. Yi Xiangnan, you can ask Cheng Zheng if you want to know if you're psycho or not. He looked at her and suddenly said, is it because I'm not healthy enough and I'm not generous enough to you? Su Mu was simply ridiculous. He, the CEO of Stars Entertainment, blocked her in the elevator and asked her this kind of question when she was about to go to work. She still wanted to say something, but she had already made up her mind. Let's go to my office. Su Mu was quite guarded. She didn't know what he was going to do. She found out 10 minutes later. Yi Xiangnan called Shun Wenxuan over and drafted a thick stack of documents with hundreds of pages. It took a whole morning for a team of more than 20 lawyers and a team of 8 accountants to finish it. It was so big that it shocked the whole of Stars Entertainment. The whole of Stars Entertainment knew that CEO Yi and Mrs. Yi had signed another prenuptial agreement. This time, they didn't know what kind of shameful content it was. At noon, the content was all prepared. There were a total of 12 thick books. Shen Wenxuan was also very surprised, but he tried his best to communicate with Su Mu in a calm and professional tone. Miss Su, CEO Yi transferred all his assets under his name to your name. The market value is 132 billion, which means that CEO Yi has nothing other than the shares of Stars Entertainment. Yi Xiangnan sat on the sofa and said faintly, he only has a bitch wife and a well-behaved son. Even Shun Wenxian wanted to burst into laughter. The crowd wanted to burst out laughing, but they couldn't laugh out loud, so they could only endure it. Su Mu was about to explode. He was acting like this just because someone said that Cheng Zheng's health was good. She felt a little ashamed and turned to leave. She was unwilling to sign the document. Yi Xiannan quickly walked over and caught her. Then, the people in the president's office all tactfully left, including Shun Wenxuan. Yi Xiangnan was still holding on to Su Mu and whispered, are you angry? Su Mu was extremely ashamed. She turned her head and said, let go of me, Yi Xiangnan. You're a jerk. How am I a bastard? He pressed her to the side and whispered into her ear, I just wanted to show that I'm not worse than him. It's just that I'm a little bigger. How am I a jerk? You tell me, huh? Su Mu couldn't stand it. She turned her head and said, I'm going to work. Everyone in Stars Entertainment knows that you're here with me. Other than competing with money, don't you think I have to prove something else? He whispered. Su Mu bit her lip and was speechless. Yi Xiangnan said in a low voice, you're not going to say anything? So you don't acknowledge me? Su Mu still didn't say anything. He laughed. Are you angry? Then, I'll coax you, okay? Su Mu turned her head and said in a low voice, Yi Xiangnan, can you let me go? I don't want to let you go. I'll let you go if I can. His voice was hot. Su Mu, sometimes I want to strangle you to death. But I feel that it's too easy for you. You're so heartless. As he said that, he carried her and walked to the resting room. Chapter 5176. Later on, Su Mu got angry. Because Yi Xiangnan didn't let her go to work for a day, proving that he wasn't worse than Master Chung in other aspects except for his financial resources. He proved it, but Sumu couldn't clear her name even if she jumped into the Yellow River. He was probably busy, so he directly locked her in the washroom and went through the documents in a meeting. Sumu stayed in the lounge board for the whole morning. At noon, he asked her to accompany him, but Sumu didn't want to remember the whole process. When it was almost time to get off work, she went to the station to report. It was especially shameful, but to her surprise, Shaoan actually came over. Seeing Sumu coming over, she was a little excited. It was CEO Yi who called personally, so I came over. Sumu was also surprised. Then, she reached out and patted Shaoan's little head. Then do your best here. The treatment at Stars Entertainment was much better than at Sun Entertainment, so Shaoan was naturally willing. Moreover, there was such a big backer like Sumu. When she packed her things and came over, those people were envious of her. Shaoan also felt that Sumu was especially hardworking. Those people who said that she couldn't enter a rich family after getting a divorce all shut their mouths. This person, Sumu, was doing very well. Shaoan also felt especially proud and made a fuss about treating Sumu to a meal. Although Sumu was angry, she still remembered what Yi Xiangnan said to her. Tonight, Yi Hui was going to discuss the details of the wedding. The Shun family would send someone over, so she told Shaoan that they would call Sister Hong for a drink another day. Shaoan covered her face and said that she had changed. She said that she knew how to enjoy life and had learned bad things from CEO Yi. Sumu snorted. You're so impolite, aren't you? In the future, you'll be my assistant. You should be more respectful to your future boss. Little one was especially subservient. Sumu smiled. I was just joking with you. All right, I'll inform the station head that I'll knock off first. She actually had a headache. If this went on, would she be able to become a good host? She felt that Yi Xiangnan had been dragging her down. Later, when she sat in the car after work, she started complaining. Yi Xiangnan smiled. Take your time. This host won't go back and have children. You can learn from her for a few more years. I'll be old in a few years. Will I still be able to appear on camera? She asked softly. Then, she looked up at Yi Xiangnan. Yi Xiangnan seemed to seriously consider this, then laughed. You make it sound like a problem. There's a mischievous look in his eyes. But I'm already ugly now. When I'm older, I can count on my temperament. What do you think? Sumu knew that she didn't look good, but she was still angry that he said it so bluntly. When the car stopped at a red light, she didn't know why, but she pinched his face with both hands. Yi Xiangnan, you're too despicable. He didn't make a sound. Even his breathing was clean as he stared at her. Sumu immediately realized that she was inappropriate. She retracted her fingers and coughed lightly. I didn't do it on purpose. I know. His voice was slightly deep. But, Sumu, does this mean that we're a little closer? She didn't want to reply, but he insisted on staring at her with a pressing gaze. Sumu leaned against the back of the chair and said softly, The light is green, Yi Xiangnan. He continued to look at her with a clear gaze, but his voice was frighteningly deep. I'll deal with you when we get back. After that, it started to drizzle. The black Bentley drove in the drizzling night, reflecting the neon lights. It looked a little romantic. Chapter 5177. He played the song, and the car suddenly became more charming. He played the song, and the car suddenly became more charming. Sumu was also a little tired after being bullied by him for the whole day. She leaned against the seat lazily. The traffic was very bad, and she would occasionally turn her head to look at Yi Xiangnan. Later, her hand was held by him, and then a pure male voice came. Sumu, if you keep looking at me like this, I won't be able to drive. Sumu bit her lower lip. So it's my fault? If not you, who should I blame? There's no second Mrs. Yi here. He smiled and continued to drive. The car drove really slowly. What should have been a 40-minute drive took 2 hours to reach Wen Garden. Yi Xiangnan turned off the engine and looked at the bright lights in front of him. He sighed and said, The people from the Shun family are already here. Just follow me later. Sumu nodded. After all, such a scene was not pleasant for her. The previous scene with Shun Wenyuan was not very good. In fact, it wasn't just her. Even Wen Yuan didn't think much of Shun Wen Yuan. Even Yi Mu Bai and Wen Yuan had some reservations about Shun Wen Xuan's intentional seduction of Yi Hui. It was just that Yi Hui's belly was already big, and she liked Shun Wen Xuan so much, there was no other way. In the past, Wen Yuan was most worried that Shun Wen Xuan and Su Mu would rekindle their old love. But now that her son had personally come forward, she felt that there would be no problem. Although it was a little awkward, at least things were put together in this way. Everyone was happy. Here, Su Mu was about to get out of the car. Yi Xiangnan took his coat from the back of the chair and directly put it on her shoulders. Wait a minute. He got out of the car first and went to the back seat to get an umbrella. Then he opened the door for her. To be honest, this treatment was very good for Su Mu. Yi Xiangnan rarely was so considerate to women. Most women were tools to make money for Stars Entertainment, and he did not see them as women. It was just such an ugly little thing. If he were to dote on her, she wouldn't care about it all. She wouldn't be interested in things that other women yearned for, but couldn't get. Just thinking about it, Yi Xiangnan's heart was full of feelings. He held her and walked into the house. Su Mu wanted to break free, but he was so strong that she could not do anything. Yi Xiangnan was the eldest son of the Yi family and the successor of Stars Entertainment. The Wen family liked him very much. He had a very high status and was good-looking, so the servants in the family also liked him very much. When they went back, they all crowded around him. "Young master, you are wet. Don't freeze wearing a shirt on such a cold day." Yi Xiangnan smiled and released Su Mu from his arms. "Aren't you protecting this heartless thing?" When the servant saw Su Mu, he laughed and took slippers for them to change into. "Young mistress is not a thing." Yi Xiangnan smiled and stared at Su Mu. After a while, he leaned over and whispered, "I am not saying that you are not a thing. See?" The servant laughed. "I'm not good with my words. Young mistress, please don't be angry." This unusual enthusiasm made Yi Xiangnan look at his mother. He knew that it was her doing, so he did not say anything. He just quietly wiped his hands and helped Su Mu take off her coat. "Go and have a cup of ginger tea to warm up." "But we have guests," Su Mu said in a low voice. She did not want to affect Yi Hui's marriage because of her. Besides, some things had happened in the past. Just like he said, the more she tried to escape, the more suspicious it would be. Chapter 5178. 69 books, right? After she finished speaking, Yi Xiangnan acted as if it was normal. "You and Annie Wong go have some ginger tea. Give me a cup when you come back. I'll just go and say hello." Su Mu thought about it and listened to him. She went to the small dining room with Annie Wong as if she was familiar with the place. Yi Xiangnan watched her leave and then slowly walked to the living room. He greeted the Shun family politely and sat down on the sofa. Then, he picked up a magazine and flipped through it. Shun Wenyuan's parents were fine. After all, they were from a noble family. However, Shun Wenyuan had always had a problem with Su Mu. She thought that if Shun Wenxuan and Su Mu got married, then Su Mu should avoid arousing suspicion. How could she marry into the Yi family? Wasn't she deliberately making things difficult for the Shin family? Originally, she wanted to wait for Su Mu to come over and mention it openly or secretly. However, Su Mu didn't come at all. Wen Wan and Yi Mu Bai didn't look angry. She was a little confused. In fact, there was nothing she didn't understand. In Wen Yuan's opinion, after Shun Wenxuan and Yi Hui got married, they would still be Shun Wenxuan. However, Su Mu was different. Su Mu had been bought by Wen Yuan long ago. She was considered a child of the Yi family. How could they be the same? How could she be humiliated by Shin Wen Yuan? Since they had eaten together today, Wen Yuan definitely wouldn't let Su Mu be wronged. Indeed, Shun Wenxuan and Su Mu had contributed to the Yi family and had contributed children. However, Shun Wenxuan's child was surnamed Shun. Cymbidium Chinense was the future heir of the Yi family. This was very important. Su Mu spent 10 minutes in the kitchen and drank half a cup of ginger tea. Annie Wong held her hands and said with a smile, "I've never seen young master like this. He sincerely treats a girl well. Young mistress is the first." Su Mu held the cup and glanced in Yi Xiangnan's direction. She asked softly, What about the former Miss Cheen? They're childhood sweethearts. They can't compare to young madam's feelings. I can tell that young master's heart is hanging on young madam. I can't be wrong about that look in his eyes, Annie Wong said sweetly. Sumu couldn't stand it. Annie Wong thought for a moment and said, "Oh, by the way, didn't young master say to bring him a cup?" "Young mistress, hurry up. It's not good if young master is sick. Hurry up and bring him a cup to warm him up," Annie Wong said as she stuffed the cup into her hand. Sumu couldn't refuse even if she wanted to, so she had to go over. She and Yi Xiangnan had been together for a long time. When she saw Wen Yuan and Yi Mu Bai, she naturally called them mom and dad. Yi Xiangnan didn't raise his head. He just waved his hand. She sat next to him and handed him the cup. "Ginger tea." Yi Xiangnan threw the magazine in his hand aside. He took the cup from her hand and drank it in a few mouthfuls. Then he asked her if she was hungry. She said she was fine. Yi Xiangnan pressed her to his side and rubbed his hair. "Let's eat together after they finished talking." They looked like an old married couple. He didn't intend to introduce her. It seemed that Su Mu had long been a part of the Yi family. Wen Yuan and Yi Mu Bai were used to it. Anyway, Su Mu was dominated by their son, which made them feel ashamed. But now it seemed that the young couple had a good relationship. Su Mu didn't show any uneasiness. It seemed that her heart still belonged to her son. Wen Yuan was very proud as a mother. Her son was mighty. Chapter 51-79. Wen Yuan, as his mother, was quite proud of her son. However, if she knew what had happened at Stars Entertainment today, she would probably have scolded her son. She was already his daughter-in-law. Was there a need to be like this? However, she didn't know. She felt that her son was very capable and had finally won the girl's heart. In her heart, the Cymbidium Chinense was already so big. Whether the two little ones held a wedding or not, Su Mu was still her family. Wen Yuan was still a little polite and distant to Shan Wenxian. However, he treated Su Mu like his own child. Sometimes, he would scold Su Mu if he couldn't get through to her. It was as if he treated her like his own child at this moment. When Yi Xiangnan said this, Wen Yuan immediately said, "We still have a while to finish. Su Mu is hungry. Xiangnan, take her to eat something first." The Annie at home knows that Su Mu is coming, so she specially made her favorite pastry. Yi Xiangnan smiled and reached out to pinch Su Mu's face. However, he said to his mother, "Mom, you fed her for nothing. Look, she doesn't gain any weight at all." Wen Yuan scolded him. "You're the one who bullied her. Let me tell you, Su Mu is only 23 years old. She still has a long way to go. You should let her rest more and not work all day long. A girl should be married and doted on." Yi Xiangnan nodded. "Mom is right. Today, I will lock Su Mu in my office for the whole day." He said it out loud, and everyone present was stunned. Yi Xiangnan looked around. "Is there a problem? We are legally married and have our marriage certificate." After he finished speaking, he pulled his wife to have some snacks first. The rest of the people were dumbstruck. The men drank their tea to hide their gaffes, while the women. Yihui lowered her head. She felt that it was a bit shameful to have such a brother. He was too shameless. Sumu had worked so hard. Shen Wenyuan, on the other hand, made a fuss and said, "If that's the case, will it affect your work?" No one from the Yi family said anything. How could this affect their work? Now that Yi Xiangnan has gotten a bad taste, he will only work harder. Poor Sumu. Marrying such a shameless thing like the Yi family is really hard for her. However, in the past, he had never heard of Yi Xiangnan being so abnormal. Everyone was puzzled, but Yi Xiangnan was feeding Su Mu in the small dining room. He fed her 3 times in a row, but she refused to eat, so he let go. He asked Annie Wong to make a cup of flower tea and held it in her hands to warm her hands. Su Mu was not blockhead. How could she not feel the pain? She looked up at him. "Are you really not going to ask?" Although she knew that Shan Wenshuan was a good person, the Shun family, she was always afraid that Yi Hui would be at a disadvantage. Yi Xiangnan smiled. "Why? Now that you're married to me, you're standing on the Yi family's side. Are you afraid that your sister-in-law will be at a disadvantage? I'm talking to you about serious matters. Why do you have to be like this?" Sumu was dissatisfied. He smiled and told her the truth. Don't worry. My mother has not been a Buddhist in recent years. The Yi family can afford a small loss. But do you think there are fools in the Yi family? Although Yi Hui is simple, she is definitely not stupid. You're the only one who likes to worry. As he said that, he flicked her forehead. Sumu was stunned for a moment. He also felt that her blank look was quite cute. If they were not here, he would have loved her. Chapter 5180. Memorize. On the other side, Shun Wenyuan tried to provoke Wenyuan's dissatisfaction with Su Mu several times, but Wenyuan was indifferent. Later, Shun Wenyuan shut up, but Shun Wenyuan did not stop her even once. It was strange. After dinner, Yi Hui stayed here. Shun Wenyuan sent his parents off and came back to accompany her for a while. Yi Hui leaned in his arms and said softly, "Why didn't you speak up for sister-in-law today? Your sister has been making things difficult for her." Shun Wenyuan reached out to comb her long black hair and smiled. "Isn't it enough to have your brother as your protector? You don't need me to speak up. Besides, if I really helped you, would you cry in the middle of the night?" As he said that, he scratched her little nose. "Water doll." Yi Hui stared at him. Shun Wenyuan. He laughed in a low voice. "I'm here." She was rarely angry, but when she was angry, her little face was particularly vivid and beautiful. The members of the Yi family were really good-looking. Shun Wenyuan had once asked himself if he liked Yi Hui because of her good temper or because of her beauty. This kind of non-aggressive beauty, gentle and lovely, was the most beautiful thing that could be imagined in the world. He had it once and could never forget it. He was a little emotional, so he pressed her on his shoulder and said a few very gentle words. After that, Yi Hui did not have time to worry about her sister-in-law. In fact, she could also see that her brother and sister-in-law had a very good relationship. Did that mean that Shun Wenyuan also let go? She secretly looked at him, and he smiled. "What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking, will the child be born like you or like me?" She whispered. "If it's like a girl, it must be smart like you. If it's a boy, will he be too soft and stupid?" Shun Wenyuan rubbed her head. "Yi Hui, why do you think you're stupid?" She was actually very smart, smarter than most people. People who kept rushing forward were not necessarily smart, but Yi Hui was like this. Of course, not everyone was as lucky as her, who could be at ease with the situation. But when he lost his direction, Yi Hui became his best resting place. From that day onwards, Shun Wenyuan and Su Mu had completely turned their backs on each other. This was probably the tacit understanding between the two men. Things had to be resolved eventually. To CEO Yi, a sister had changed a wife, but he still wanted to beat Shun Wenyuan up. On the way back, he didn't say a word. Sumu knew what he was thinking. She snorted. "They're getting married. Why are you still angry? Or will you be happier if we don't get married?" Yi Xiangnan was a little amused. "What are you thinking about? I just feel that Yi Hui has been wronged." Actually, Yi Hui had another choice at that time, and that was to break up with Shun Wenyuan. It wasn't that she couldn't bear to break up with him, and it wasn't that she would die without Shun Wenyuan. On the contrary, Yi Hui was very smart. She could live well alone with a child. Actually, she got married because of me. Do you believe that? Yi Xiangnan sighed. Think about it. If she didn't get married, she would be pregnant, and the child would be your ex-boyfriend's. He was explicitly hinting at it. Sumu couldn't stand it anymore. Yi Xiangnan, you've been talking for a long time. What are you trying to say? He held the steering wheel and focused on the front. He said casually, "Even Yi Hui knows that I love you. Why can't you see it?" Sumu leaned against the back of the chair. "Yi Xiangnan, do you know what you're saying?" "I'm confessing," he said lightly. "What did you say about Sumu?" Sumu was speechless. "It doesn't seem to be the right time now. We're in the car. I've booked a hotel," he said suddenly. "Do you want to go?" "About the proposal. I'll update tomorrow." Chapter 5181. Sumu was a little confused. She looked at him for a long time and then said, "Why we have to go to the hotel?" Yi Xianan chuckled in a low voice, rubbing his wife's hair while driving. "Mrs. Yi, do you really not know or not?" "I don't know," she said softly. "Then CEO Yi knew that his wife was really pure. She was still young when they were together for the first time. She had a boyfriend at that time. Maybe they only kissed. But then, CEO Yi thought of his wife kissing his future brother-in-law. He felt very uncomfortable. So, he took it out on her. Sumu was bullied badly by him. At this moment, CEO Yi grinded his teeth and smiled softly. Let me teach you. Actually, he didn't know when he fell in love with her. Maybe it was because he couldn't let it go, so he just didn't resist and didn't allow her to resist. In his bones, CEO Yi was still very domineering. Since he liked her, she had to like him. The more Sumu ignored him, the more he wanted to conquer her. And after seeing his indecent behavior, Sumu didn't want to talk to him anymore. She lowered her head. Where's Cymbidium chinense? Were you afraid of at my mother's place? He said coldly. Sumu couldn't believe it. She said softly and slowly, why didn't you say that when you on? And why didn't I see Cymbidium chinense? You didn't ask just now. He smiled lightly. You don't care about your son at all. Sumu was simply too much. She couldn't communicate with him, so she turned her head to look outside. It was still drizzling outside, and she couldn't help but recall how Yi Xianan had given her his jacket. As a woman, her heart couldn't help but soften a little. The car drove to G.M. Hotel. After stopping, he looked at Sumu. Let's get off. His voice was quite gentle. Sumu sat there without moving. She was still resisting for the last time. Actually, it's good to go home. Why do we have to stay in a hotel? CEO Ye's face darkened. He looked at his wife and said, I've already booked it. Oh, she replied, but still got out of the car and followed behind him. Yi Xiangnan was angry in his heart. That little bit of romance had long since been angered by her. He wanted to get the room card with a particularly sour expression. He didn't make a sound in the elevator, which made Sumu feel that he was early. But thinking about CEO Ye's various data, it didn't seem like it. It was a simple spiritual morning watch. She declared it unilaterally. Yi Xiangnan didn't know what was going on in her mind. He opened the door of the presidential suite with her, with a smirk on his face. Come in. Sumu walked in and was instantly stunned. The presidential suite that cost $88,000 a night was as luxurious as it could be. The key was that the suite was covered with black roses. She knew that it was a rare species. She also knew that it needed to be transported by air. It was raining today. How did the airline get it? It was spread all over the floor and extended into the bedroom. It was the same on the big white bed. That kind of visual impact was especially... Sumu really wasn't vain at all. But at this moment, her heart palpitated. Firstly, it was because of his intentions. Secondly, it was shock. Which woman wouldn't be moved by such a scene? Which woman could stand it? Sumu's eyes were covered with a layer of mist. She thought that it wasn't that she wasn't vain, but that the scene wasn't enough. At that time, Chengzheng was rich and overbearing and booked those big screens, which obviously only troubled her. But this room of black roses and the black pajamas on the bed quietly moved her heart. Chapter 5182. Walking out, she caught sight of Yi Xiangnan leaning against the bar counter in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. He took 2 glasses and poured one for himself while drinking slowly, his face still smelly. Sumu was speechless as she walked over. Are you angry? Her voice was soft, as she rarely spoke to him like that. Usually, she would call him Mr. Yi, President Yi, or Yi Xiangnan, speaking to him in such a soft and intimate manner. Even though Yi Xiangnan wasn't talking to her, his face wasn't as sullen as before. Not only was he drinking, but he was also smoking and ignoring Sumu. Sumu poured herself half a glass of red wine. I'll accompany you. As he smoked, he puffed out a ring of smoke in front of her and said coldly, Didn't you dislike me? Miss Su, what are you doing now? Trying to please me? Actually, even though Sumu wasn't a blockhead, she was really pure and innocent. How would she know how to please a man? But now that he was angry, she felt that she should say something nice to cheer him up. Thus, she replied with an mmm. Even though it was a little stiff, it was still a soft attitude. Even though Yi Xiangnan's heart was breaking down, he still maintained a cold expression. Why are you trying to please me? Just take it as me thinking too much. As he said that, he took another puff of his cigarette, completely disregarding her. Sumu leaned beside him and took a sip of wine before saying softly, "These roses must be expensive. They look nice." He glared at her and snorted coldly before saying harshly, "Petty, only caring about money." Surprisingly, Sumu wasn't angry at all as she smiled. "I'm afraid of squandering money." For some reason, Yi Xiangnan's heart softened a little. He had married an ordinary girl with a rigid personality. However, he could guarantee that if she had a face like hers and a gentle personality, he would definitely not be attracted to her. Therefore, this was also good. She could anger him from time to time. He was quite good. At least he didn't lose out. The wife he married was different from others. She was worth it. CEO Yi went through a lot of things about the contract in his mind before he understood himself. When he looked at her again, he was very calm. Then he said, "Aren't you trying to please me? If not, you must have seen it on TV, right?" Sumu looked down and drank half of the glass of red wine. She said in a low voice, "I'm going to change my clothes." Yi Xiangnan's atoms apple bobbed twice. He almost couldn't believe it. A moment later, Sumu came out. She was wearing that black dress. She was very thin, but her bone structure was really good, making up for the lack of a face. At this time, she had let her hair down and was barefoot, stepping on the black roses in the room. She looked indescribably soft and feminine. Sumu walked to his side and smiled. Then, she took the cigarette that he placed on his lips and took a puff. Yi Xiangnan was stunned for a moment. Then, he seemed to explode and snatched the cigarette from her hand. Why does a woman smoke? He stubbed out his cigarette and looked at her up and down. Sumu looked down. "Yi Xiangnan, did I please you like this?" His eyes shone with a hint of clarity. "Probably." Sumu walked over and held his arm. "Didn't you say you were going to propose?" She stretched out her finger. "Where's the ring?" Yi Xiangnan looked at her. "You still want the ring after making me so angry?" She grunted and put her face on his shoulder. Yi Xiangnan looked at her and almost went crazy. After a long time, he took out a small box from his pocket and opened it reluctantly. Chapter 5183. Sumu's voice was very soft. "Yi Xiangnan, this might be the only time in our lives. Shouldn't you be more serious?" He glared at her and said impatiently, "Why? You want me to kneel down and propose?" Sumu replied, "Shouldn't I?" Yi Xiangnan's face was still sullen. "Sumu, don't be arrogant." She pushed the ring back and said in a low voice, "Then forget it." Yi Xiangnan glared at her. "Take it or leave it." Just as he was about to take the ring back, Sumu called out softly, "Wait." He looked at her. "You want it now?" Women are really troublesome. They say one thing but mean another. Sumu looked at him and took the box over. She opened it silently and wanted to put it on herself. The ring was beautiful and simple. It was a single 12-carat diamond. She froze for a moment and held her breath. Just as she was about to put it on, Yi Xiangnan suddenly said softly, "Forget it." He took the ring from her hand and knelt down on one knee. Without saying anything, he put the ring on her gently. This was his limit. Sumu sat down and looked at the ring on her finger and the man who put it on her. It would be a lie if she said that she didn't feel anything at all. All women in the world fell for this. Roses, diamond rings, and a handsome and rich man. Sumu was a woman too. She would fall for this too. She lowered her head and looked at him. After putting the ring on her finger, Yi Xiangnan looked up and their eyes met. Then, she was pulled onto the carpet by him. At dawn, Sumu's hand was under her hair and she fell into a deep sleep. When the sunlight shone on the bedsheets, she reached out to block it. Then, she felt a headache. She raised her hand and realized that the ring on her finger was a little too big. She sat up and found that Yi Xiangnan had already woken up. He was standing in front of the French window, looking refreshed. His whole body was bathed in the sunlight, looking slender and handsome. He was carrying her on his back, so she could look at him unscrupulously. Sumu thought to herself that he was quite handsome, which was rare. His statistics in all aspects were not bad. Just as she was engrossed in watching, the man on the phone put away his phone and turned around abruptly. "You're awake?" She nodded and leaned against the headboard. "What time is it?" Today was Saturday, so there was no need to worry about work. However, she saw that he seemed to be very busy. Yi Xiangnan smiled and sat next to her. It's 11 o'clock. Let's eat in the room. Sumu looked over and saw that all the roses had been cleaned up. She looked at him. Yi Xiangnan coughed softly. I cleaned it up. She nodded and didn't say anything else. The atmosphere was quite subtle. Yi Xiangnan picked up her hand and looked at it. It's quite suitable. Don't take it off. She nodded and said that she was hungry. Yi Xiangnan smiled. The waiter will bring food over in a while. I have a meeting in a room next door in the afternoon. You stay here and rest. I'll take you out for dinner tonight. Sumu instinctively wanted to refuse and say that she could go home by herself. Yi Xiangnan held his forehead. I say, Sumu, why are you so insensitive? We're still staying here tonight. Sumu looked at him. Still staying here? He nodded. Yes, still staying here. Is there a problem? She said no. Yi Xiangnan nodded. That's good. As he said that, the waiter outside brought the food over. He asked her to wash her face and tidy up while he went to get the food. Chapter 5184. Sumu went to wash her face. She saw herself in the mirror by accident. She almost didn't know that the woman in the mirror was her. Her skin was fair and delicate, looking especially fresh and tender. She stared blankly for a while until Yi Xiangnan called her for dinner. She then pulled the shirt on her body. It was the one that Yi Xiangnan wore last night. Looking at this shirt, Sumu recalled some memories and her face was burning. Sumu, Yi Xiangnan called her again. She immediately pulled the shirt and went out. Fortunately, it was long enough to cover what needed to be covered. After going out, Yi Xiangnan said faintly, "Come over for dinner." Then his eyes fell on her body. Looking at the black shirt on her body, his eyes were burning. She looked surprisingly good in black. Moreover, that shirt was his. For a long time after that, CEO Yi would wear black shirts because it could be used as pajamas for Mrs. Yi at night. She didn't have any objections. At this moment, he asked her to sit down. Sumu watched him put the food on the table from the cart. It was quite a luxurious meal, and it was nourishing. It was all made with the best ingredients. Sumu sipped the soup and sat there properly. He also looked at her black hair, fair face, and delicate aura. Her hands were fair and slender, and there was an all-American diamond ring on her finger. Yi Xiangnan suddenly realized that his wife seemed to be much more beautiful. She had only been with him for a month, but she had a unique temperament that belonged to a wealthy family. It was not a nouveau riche, but a calm temperament. He looked at her silently and scooped a small bowl of soup for her. Drink another bowl. You're too thin. You don't like it? Fuck. She lowered her head and actually dared to talk back. Yi Xiangnan was quite speechless. He looked at her and then chuckled. It's not bad, but it would be better if you put on a little more weight. She only weighed about 90 pounds and was 162 centimeters tall. It would be better if she could reach 100 pounds. That way, it wouldn't show the flesh, but it would look more moist. Sumu was only 23 years old, but her appearance was really hard to describe. She looked like she was about 26 years old. It was not that she looked old, but her temperament was stable, unlike a 23-year-old girl. This was also good. He didn't want to spend all day coaxing an ignorant little girl, even though she was harder to please than a little girl. As CEO Yi thought of this, his heart was especially conflicted, an indescribable feeling. Sumu flipped her hair and sipped her soup. She looked up and asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing, just eating." He glanced at her, smiled, and squeezed her hand. Sumu wanted to pull back, but she couldn't. Later, he dragged her over and coaxed her to eat quite a bit. Sumu felt that she was not used to this, but seeing that Yi Xiangnan seemed to like it, she thought to herself, do all men like this? Shen Wenxuan also treats Yi Hui like this, he suddenly said. Sumu was a little angry. She didn't like it when he talked about Shen Wenxuan in front of her, as if it was a kind of intentional test. Sumu lowered her head and didn't say anything. She just ate quietly. Are you angry? Yi Xiangnan wiped his lower lip and took the chopsticks from her hand. If you can't eat, don't eat. If you make a scene in the hospital, I'll have to take care of you. He deliberately said it fiercely and impersonally. Sumu turned her head. You're angry just like that? He sighed and pulled her sharp chin over. There was a strong intention in it. Chapter 5185. You're angry just like that? Yi Xianan sighed and turned her sharp chin over. Her tone was forceful. Sumu, why don't you think about it? I'm jealous. I'm jealous of Yi Xianan. Sumu wanted to move away but couldn't. She could only let him pinch her. Her face was a little hot, and she said in a low voice, "Haven't you been in a relationship before?" "Yes, I have, but—" He said faintly, "But Qin Huan was kidnapped by Shun Ting before she was 10 years old. There's almost no romance between us. Sumu, you're almost my first love, but I'm not your first moonlight. Shouldn't you apologize to your husband?" Sumu was furious. "Yi Xiangnan, you're too shameless." "How am I shameless? Do you think I'm shameless just because I care about you? How is that reasonable, huh?" He chuckled. He felt that it was very pleasant to tease her like this. He pulled her earlobe and suddenly felt that pearl earrings were very suitable for her. His eyes burned for a long time, and he touched it again. He just smiled and said nothing. Sumu's face was burning. "Aren't you going to the suite next door for a meeting?" He smiled and raised his hand to look at the time. "It seems that it's time." Then he tidied up and asked her to ask the waiter to clean up. Then he rested in the hotel. He would be back at about 4 o'clock. Sumu nodded. She was indeed a little tired. After asking the waiter to clean up, she took a shower. When she came out, she found a bag on the bedside table. It was a set of clothes. Because she had to rest, she didn't change immediately. Instead, she wore his shirt and took a nap for a few hours. As for the pajamas from last night, it was lying quietly on the floor. Yi Xiangnan said he would be back at 4 o'clock, but he was a little late. He came back at about 5 o'clock, and his heart softened when he saw her lying in the bedroom obediently. He walked to the bed and sat next to her. She was still wearing his shirt, so she looked a little obedient. Actually, she was only 23 years old, so she was still very young. "Little mother," he murmured these words and chuckled. He deftly took out a small velvet box from his pocket and opened it. Inside was a pair of pearl earrings. The design was very simple, like water droplets falling below the earlobes. It was very elegant. He felt that she was suitable today. After the meeting, he went to pick one out and spent 2 hours to find one that was suitable. To be honest, it was not expensive, but now that he was putting it on her personally, it was surprisingly beautiful. Sumu woke up because of his movement. She looked at him and then reached out an arm to touch her ear. She asked softly, "What is this?" Yi Xianan picked her up and carried her to the bathroom mirror. "Do I look good?" He rested his chin on her shoulder and leaned in close. Sumu looked at herself in the mirror. The pair of small pearls matched with her black hair, and the black shirt she was wearing made her look very feminine. She couldn't help but say, "It looks good. Where did you get it?" She couldn't bear to put it down. This pair of small pearls made her heart beat faster, and she liked it more than the ring. Yi Xiangnan said softly, "After the meeting, I went downstairs to pick it out for you. Do you like it?" "I like it," she said honestly. Then he turned her around. "Is there any reward?" Chapter 5186. This reward was quite hard for Sumu. When they went out for dinner, it was already 7 p.m. She was a little tired and didn't want to go out, but she was still dragged out by Yi Xiangnan. When she went out with him, she didn't need to think about where to eat. Yi Xiangnan would arrange everything, and it was almost nourishing. Sumu suddenly thought of something when she was drinking the soup. However, they ate in the lobby outside and not in the private room. This topic was not suitable to talk about in a crowded place. So when there was no one around, she said softly, "Yi Xiangnan, I have something to ask you." He served the dishes for her and looked elegant. "What is it?" Sumu really couldn't say it out, so she just said vaguely, "Let's go back to the hotel." He then smiled very happily. After dinner, they walked outside for a while to digest the food before returning to the hotel. When they returned to the hotel, CEO Yi was not serious anymore, and Sumu was pressed against the door. She pushed his shoulder and whispered, "Do you want a child?" Yi Xiangnan let go of her and smiled. "You don't want to? We're going to get married soon, and this child will be a legitimate child. I will love it no matter if it's a boy or a girl." She didn't speak, so he said again, "Why? Do you not believe that I can be faithful to my marriage? No. She lowered her eyes. It's too fast. I'm not ready yet. She looked up at him and begged. Yi Xiangnan, I don't have any other request. If you want a child, can you wait for 2 years? He looked at her and then softened a little. He reached out and touched her hair, saying in a low voice, Sumu, actually, I really want a daughter. She was hugged gently by him. The original plan for tonight. Forget it. Sumu was a little at a loss. After a long time, she asked him in a low voice, Yi Xiangnan, why? He smiled bitterly. If I can't let go of someone, it's probably because I like her. I don't want to make things difficult for myself anymore. It's that simple. In order to maintain a stable relationship, he would not look for another woman. He could be loyal, but the condition was that her body and mind had to be with him. If she was not, he would punish her. Sumu was also quite speechless. She stared at him for a long time before saying softly, Yi Xiangnan, we didn't love each other before. He suddenly said in a rough voice, but I love you very much now. Sumu was shocked and speechless. Yi Xiangnan moved closer to her ear and whispered, So, you have to love me too, understand? Otherwise, I'll kill you. Sumu looked up at him with tears in her eyes. Yi Xiangnan couldn't care less. She pulled her into her arms unceremoniously. He heard that his first love was going to marry the gigolo's ex-husband and that they were going to have a grand wedding. Moreover, Lawyer Shun was going to be the gigolo's brother-in-law. What was wrong with Lawyer Shun and Sumu? Was it nice to marry into the Yi family? Did he not have money? He could have taken them all. Master Cheng was very angry. He had been angry with Su Jian for a long time, so it was useless even if she tried her best to serve him. Recently, Master Cheng was very irritated and often hit her. Su Jian couldn't take it anymore, but she couldn't leave Master Cheng. Moreover, she was indeed infatuated with him. Master Cheng came back from outside and sat on the sofa with his legs crossed. He looked at the documents sent by his subordinates with a very impatient expression. He didn't study for a few days, so looking at these gave him a headache. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.